I'm David Hatfield and this is IGN News. Blockbuster Video will close its remaining 300 U.S. retail stores by early January.
There's a Blockbuster Video store on every corner. In recent years, many of them have closed.
$5.9 billion revenue, 9,000 locations, and a staggering $800 million earned purely from late fees. In the year 2000, Blockbuster controlled nearly 25% of the global video rental market, making them an untouchable monopoly. That year, they had the chance to buy a struggling Netflix for just $50 million. A price so low, it represented less than 1% of Blockbuster's annual value, yet their CEO laughed and refused the deal. The data proves this was a fatal miscalculation. Blockbuster was so dependent on profits that they ignored a massive $1.1 billion debt and the fact that the digital revolution was already killing their foot traffic. Today, Netflix is a $260 billion powerhouse, while Blockbuster's empire has been reduced to one solitary building in Oregon. Today, we'll analyze the data behind this catastrophic failure to understand the one mistake you must avoid in your own business, investments, or career to ensure you're never left behind in the future. Stay with me, because the numbers behind this collapse provide the ultimate blueprint for survival in a rapidly changing world. By the year 2004, Blockbuster was not just a business, it was a global monopoly. The data was staggering: $5.9 billion in annual revenue, 9,000 retail locations worldwide, and a massive base of 65 million registered users. They controlled nearly 25% of the entire global home video market. A new Blockbuster store was opening every 17 hours somewhere in the world. However, beneath these massive numbers lay a fatal structural flaw. Blockbuster's business model was highly dependent on physical infrastructure, expensive real estate, thousands of employees, and millions of physical DVD copies. More importantly, their profit margins relied heavily on customer penalization. In 2000, Blockbuster generated roughly $800 million, almost 16% of its total revenue, purely from late fees. They were effectively making $1 billion by annoying their own customers. This created a dangerous corporate blind spot. Blockbuster was so optimized for physical retail and penalty fees that their executives became arrogant. They believed their brick-and-mortar footprint was an impenetrable moat. They looked at the market through the lens of store count rather than customer convenience. This heavy reliance on physical infrastructure and punitive revenue set the perfect stage for the most expensive miscalculation in corporate history. Because of their $5.9 billion dominance, Blockbuster felt invincible. This arrogance peaked in September 2000 inside a Dallas boardroom. Two executives from a small startup called Netflix secured a meeting with Blockbuster CEO John Antioco. At the time, Netflix was bleeding cash, tracking toward a $57 million loss for the year and struggling to survive the dot-com crash. They offered a straightforward proposition: buy Netflix for just $50 million. In exchange, Netflix would handle Blockbuster's online brand, and Blockbuster would promote Netflix in its physical stores. To put this in perspective, $50 million was less than 1% of Blockbuster's market value. Yet, Antioco literally laughed them out of the room. Why did he laugh? The data at that specific moment justified his arrogance. Netflix had barely 300,000 subscribers. Blockbuster had tens of millions. But Blockbuster failed to analyze the trajectory of the internet. They saw Netflix as a money-losing DVD by mail service. They completely missed that Netflix was actually a data and technology company building a scalable logistics algorithm, while Blockbuster was stuck managing expensive retail leases. This single rejection forced Netflix to fight for its life, turning a minor annoyance into the very competitor that would execute Blockbuster's downfall. By 2004, Blockbuster finally realized the data was shifting. Netflix had gone public, hit 2 million subscribers, and was stealing Blockbuster's most profitable customers. In a state of panic, Blockbuster attempted to pivot, launching its own online platform and a service called Total Access. This allowed customers to rent online and return in-store. Statistically, the pivot worked. Blockbuster gained 2 million subscribers in just 6 weeks, but financially, it was a suicide mission. To compete with Netflix's no late fee promise, Blockbuster was forced to drop its late fees in 2005. Overnight, they wiped out $800 million of operating profit. Furthermore, Total Access was cannibalizing their own stores. Every time a customer used the online service, Blockbuster lost money on shipping while still paying rent for empty physical locations. The boardroom descended into chaos. Activist investor Carl Icahn aggressively bought shares, demanding they cut the online budget and focus back on retail to save profits. In 2007, the CEO was fired. Blockbuster slashed its digital investments and doubled down on physical stores. The timing was catastrophic. That very same year, Netflix officially launched its digital streaming service. As Blockbuster retreated to physical retail, the financial math became impossible to sustain. The company had been spun off from Viacom in 2004, carrying a crippling $1.1 billion debt load. When the 2008 global financial crisis hit, credit markets froze. Blockbuster could no longer finance its debt. While Blockbuster was burning cash just to keep the lights on in 9,000 empty buildings, Netflix's streaming model required zero real estate and zero physical inventory limits. Netflix was signing massive digital distribution deals and migrating its infrastructure to Amazon Web Services, AWS, for infinite scalability. Blockbuster's market cap, which was $5 billion in 2002, plummeted to just $24 million. The numbers simply broke. They were spending more on interest payments and store leases than they were making in revenue. On the 23rd of September 2010, the empire officially collapsed.
Right now, everything must go in every Blockbuster store in the city of Grand Rapids. The company filed for bankruptcy 6 months ago, and now it's closing up shop in the city.
Blockbuster filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Dish Network bought the remains for $320 million in 2011, purely to liquidate the assets. Thousands of stores were systematically boarded up, permanently ending the physical era of home entertainment. The aftermath of this collapse represents the greatest wealth transfer in modern entertainment history. Blockbuster went from 9,000 global locations to exactly one single, privately franchised store remaining in Bend, Oregon, operating today more as a nostalgic museum than a functional business. Meanwhile, the $50 million startup they laughed at used the data of its millions of users to pivot again, transitioning from a streaming distributor into an original content studio. By tracking user viewing habits, Netflix successfully launched House of Cards in 2013, fundamentally changing Hollywood forever. Today, the data speaks for itself. Netflix boasts over 260 million global subscribers, generating $33.7 billion in annual revenue, with a market valuation exceeding $260 billion. They operate in over 190 countries without owning a single retail store. The $50 million check that Blockbuster refused to write in 2000 cost them a $260 billion future. It is the ultimate statistical proof that past success guarantees absolutely nothing in the face of technological disruption. The brutal collapse of Blockbuster wasn't caused by bad luck. It was caused by the sunk cost fallacy. They had invested so much capital into physical stores and relied so heavily on negative revenue late fees that they refused to adapt when the technology shifted. The solution: whether you are building a business, making investments, or managing your own career, you must never fall in love with your current product or method. You must fall in love with the customer's problem. Blockbuster thought their business was renting physical tapes. Their actual business was delivering home entertainment. If your revenue model or career depends on outdated infrastructure, Or worse, if it relies on creating friction for the end user, you are a target for disruption. Always analyze the data, eliminate your own inefficiencies before a competitor does it for you, and never let short-term profits blind you to long-term technological shifts. Adapt quickly, or become the next ghost empire.